Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast, the space for entrepreneurs on a quest for unwavering certainty and purpose. I'm your host, Lauren, and each episode is a compass guiding you through authentic conversations, unraveling the mysteries of your human design chart, and offering tools from the remarkable guest. Join me as we embark on a journey to manifest greatness and create a life aligned with our deepest purpose. This is a space where misfits find their enlightenment. Welcome to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. I am your host, Lauren, and in today's episode, I have Cheryl. She is a spiritual life coach, a wellness practitioner, and retreat facilitator. Welcome, Cheryl. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Lauren, for having me. We were chatting it up a bit before we got on, so I'm excited to chat more about all the things here that I do in Sedona and share with your guests.
Yes. So can you first kind of tell us about your entrepreneur journey, like where it started and what role did or does, I know it still does have a role in what you do, but sound healing play in your initial vision?
Yeah, so I am an entrepreneur here in Sedona, and if you had asked me, I don't know, 5 years ago, that really was a passion of mine, but I didn't quite ever see how it was going to play out. So I I'm originally from New Jersey, moved to Sedona in the height of COVID, needed a change, and that's where things started to shift with me. I spent most of my career living in New Jersey, working in higher education. And the skill set that I had there easily translates into the entrepreneurship and knowing like the business back end of it. Also, having the ability to get up in front of people and talking, holding space for people, making that eye contact, that connection, all of that skill set was easily translated. My sound healing journey, which is the main modality that I offer here in Sedona, I know that you've been to Sedona, but if people haven't, it is a spiritual healing, beautiful destination. People travel from all over the world. So it is a tourist town, and that is how my business has taken off in the last 4 years of being here. I started my journey over 13 years ago as a yoga teacher. And as a yoga teacher, sound was introduced to me pretty early on. I remember laying in Shavasana in a yoga class and someone playing the crystal bowls at the end in Shavasana. I was like, wow, what is that sound? I just love it. And it resonated with me on that level then. And so my journey was a little bit slower. I became a certified yoga teacher, certified meditation teacher. And it wasn't until I moved to Sedona that I felt it was time to bring in the crystal bowls. But actually there was a moment that I clearly remember. So I always loved the crystal bowls, but never quite knew how I was going to introduce them, how to bring them in. I know that you could use them in Shavasana yoga class. Now I travel with my crystal bowls everywhere, and they're pretty much in every modality that I offer. But in 2020, I lost my mom, and I was actually in New Jersey. And I know that you understand this when I say this, and I believe your audience is pretty conscious too. I was in my house that I grew up in, and it was a day or two after the loss of my mom, and we stayed for a few days really grieving because it was a very quick loss. And I had a complete download, and it was like Spirit said to me, begin working with sound, it will help you heal. And I always loved sound bowls, but I really didn't know much about them. And it was about a month later that I found someone that I connected with through a referral from another friend that was in the sound healing world. And I met up with them and had started working with them. And that's when I purchased my initial crystal bowl set that I have. And now it's 4 years later, and I've done probably 4 or 5 different trainings from a variety of teachers from all over, because you can do it online or you can do it in person. And I started offering the modality in 2021, and my practice has grown beautifully. It's probably about 7 days a week that I play the crystal bowls, if not for myself, then for someone else. And they are an amazing healing modality.
I know. I was going to say, I um, I have a very similar story with sound. When I first started my healing journey, I always felt very like, those guided meditations, or I would try to guide myself through meditation, or, I would have to listen to some. And even now, like when I feel like I'm too much in my head or something like that, or if I get really nervous, like I'm going to say this, yes, this is my podcast, but I still kind of get nervous, before people get on. I mean, obviously I open up sacred space for both of me and the guests, but I still get that moment of when I open the, Zoom to
Yeah.
record, I still feel nervous, and I don't, maybe it's just because I don't, it's most of the time I'm in my head. Like I'm, too in my head of like trying to like, what are we going to talk about? What am I going to ask? Or is it going to go okay? Or whatever. And I usually just, I'm like, it's fine. I try to play some type of like meditation, or like the like some type of, it's usually something on YouTube, or something like that. But I have to say, I think a lot of people are very like, don't even realize that sound helps them. Like a lot of people like go to music, like actual music, to like when they're normally, it's like you listen. I used to listen to sad songs when I was sad versus the
Yeah.
opposite. And it's like, I need to stop listening to sad songs
It
and
shifts
listen
your
to happy
mood.
songs, because it's going to make me feel sadder, And I was like, I need to kind of switch that. So I
Yeah.
love that.
There's a definite science behind that, Lauren. And so imagine, you're new to it, or you're new to any of, these spiritual practices. And that's the large majority of the guests that I interface with, especially here in Sedona. No accident that they appear in Sedona, because it is this beautiful spiritual healing place. No accident that they show up in front of me. It's always about energetics. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that they show up in front of me because we are energetically aligned. And typically, a lot of people are new to sound. There's a massive amount of people that you can connect with here in Sedona for a sound healing. But then when you leave this area, there are pockets around, the United States or the world that people absolutely know what a sound healing is, or a sound bath, sound journey, soundscape, whatever anybody refers to it as. And then there are other people that have no idea. And so typically that's what happens. They come before me. Like yesterday, I had a group of 7 women. It could be one person. I do large groups as well. And we come in and we sit for a few minutes. So imagine you're new to it and you come in and, you're thinking, what do I have to do? Am I doing this right? Do I have to breathe a particular way? How long is this going to be? And that's when we're in the mind. And so the sound healing wants to guide you to your heart. Like you just said, you get a little nervous when you pop on. And that's what the mind does, right? It's like, oh, this is new. And it's your amygdala kicking on, fight, flight, freeze. It's protecting you. So we come in, we chat for a little bit. And then typically I open up with just asking the question, have you ever had a sound healing before? And if they haven't, it's always an honor to be the first to share the modality with them. And if they're returning, I always say, if you've done this before, every practitioner holds space differently and does their sound healings differently. I typically use crystal alchemy bowls, and they have different crystals and gemstones infused in them. So that also is coming to the sound healing, because remember, crystals influence and entrain with our energies. We have a variety of instruments that I bring in, and then I also tone with the instruments, so my voice is coming in. And I kind of guide them through the whole process. This is going to be a 55-minute experience. You're going to be lying down. You're going to have an eye mask if you're comfortable with it. That's creating the sensory deprivation. And then I'm going to guide you in a meditation. That's going to help you get out of your mind, connect you to your body and to your breath, right? Because if you're sitting there making your to-do list, or you're thinking about the pink Jeep tour that you're going to go on in Sedona after it, then you're not fully receiving, right?
I was gonna say shout out to Tara because I believe we did that pink tour, or we were going to try it when we were in Sedona together because I
Yes.
know it had to have been when I was visiting her before I actually tried to move out there to go
Yeah.
back, you know.
Yeah.
But I think we did do the pink Jeep tour. I want to say that we did. It was with Alicia. I want to say
Yeah.
that could have been. And we, of course, we went to go see a psychic, which gave me a lot of insight over that next year of when I was going to move. And she did tell me that I was going to move, but it was going to be for a short time. And it was like when all of that happened, that, in 2021 now, I guess it was, I was like, she wasn't wrong. But I didn't
Yeah.
make that decision, the decision
And
to,
you get access to all those things in
yeah,
Sedona, right?
yeah.
But yeah, the pink Jeep tour, I have a lot of people, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay, well, when was the last time someone invited you into a space and asked you to relax and let go? Because there's nothing else that you have to do in a sound healing, but merely lie down and open yourself up to receive. And so I talk about that and how you are the vessel. And as a human, because there is so much science behind this, Lauren, I know Sedona can be very woo, but I like to dispel some of the woo because there is science behind this. And I, just like you have that logical linear mind. And I also have the balance of the spiritual mind, and the two are very close, right? So bringing in modern science based with ancient teachings is beautiful. And when we think about sound, as you were just referring to earlier, sound is a beautiful way to bring your body into relaxation and rest. You're the conduit in which sound moves through you because we as humans are 72% water. And water is a wonderful conduit for sound. And the vibration that is being emitted from the crystal bowls gets picked up by your body, by the liquids and fluids within, and then begins to move this vibration and allows you to release stagnant energy that exists inside your body. So sometimes people report afterwards a deep sense of relaxation. Maybe something was hurting them before they were lying down, a crick in their neck or a pain in their body or elbow or something. And vibration has helped move that stagnant energy along. And then what's really interesting and is always intriguing is if you've been in a sound healing before, I don't know if you've ever noticed how you can drift in and out of that conscious hearing. Like 1 minute you're there and the next minute you're gone. And then you're like, wait, where did I go? Or maybe you hear yourself gently snore and you're like, wait, that's me. I'm snoring. That would be me. And then that is the theta state. So when you come in and we're starting seated, we're awake and aware, and our brain waves are in that beta state. And then as we begin to relax and let go, guiding you in that meditative state, your brain waves drop down into alpha. And then if you really fully let go and the sound is beginning to resonate with your body and you're out of your mind and you're resting in your heart space, you literally can go into the theta state, which is a very healing state for your body. It's bringing you back to homeostasis. It's bringing you back to the true you. And in today's day and age, it's a beautiful thing to do for yourself because you and I both know, as well as everybody listening, the world around us can be very intense. We can have a lot of anxiety and stress in our everyday world. And it seems to be that badge of honor in that to-do list and always having something to do. And so it's really beautiful for our bodies to come into that relaxed state and just let it all go for the hour that you're with me. And then you can have this state. Like yesterday, a woman was like, I felt like there were parts of me that were really heavy. And if I needed to lift my arm, I don't think I could have done it. And that's like, you're either feeling really grounded or you can feel very floaty, and you'll go in between those states. You can see colors in your mind's eye. You can see visions. And that's all energy that's moving through the body with the help of vibration that's being emitted from the bowls that are being played. So it's really amazing experience.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you so much for, because my next question was going to be, can you explain a little bit about what it is, the
Yeah.
experience is? You already did that, so
Yeah.
thank you so much for that.
And
I'm
if we think about sound too, Lauren, you know, if we go back to ancient times, drums, rattles, shakers, mantras, voice, it's been used for thousands of years in a form of ceremony and ritual. And so this is really a remembering.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that because that's why it's so, even now, like through going through the shamanic journey, and it's now, I don't necessarily use a lot of theta wave, like meditations. I use a lot of like shamanic, like drums or
Yes.
all of that stuff, just because that's where I am in my life right now. And I feel like even when I need to get something done, literally, I did it last week. It's like I had no motivation to finish this program that I'm making, and I wanted to create it and I wanted to do it. And it's just like I had that no motivation. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put on my Spotify and I'm just going to listen to my shamanic playlist, And all of a sudden I'm sitting there and it's like, I then felt like, I could do, like, I was like, okay, so let me go into Canva, do all the things that you do. Like, let me finish creating it. And it was like so much, just because my body, I was thinking about all the things I needed to do in like my physical world. And it's like,
Yes.
that doesn't need to be done right now. I'm not going to sit here and worry about for the next 2 hours of how I'm going to do it. I need to just actually do something right now. And I feel like, again, my body is very susceptible for sound. I feel like everybody's body is. It's just having that awareness of like, what can I do to in this moment to do something for something for myself?
Yeah.
And that would be, I need to get this done and I have no motivation to do it. So what can I do? you know?
Right, absolutely. And finding those modalities, because music is organized sound, right? And just as you said earlier, you can listen to different forms of music and it can bring you to tears, or it can bring you to a memory, or it can bring you into a relaxed state. Or for me, like if I was listening to heavy metal, it would irritate the crap out of me. So there's all types of things. And so we're not literally creating music in a sound healing. It's literally the sound, but my bowls are harmonically tuned. And so it's this deep resonance that literally resonates with your body. And it gives your brain something to pay attention to, which is that added extra to slow down those thoughts, because we do have typically busy minds. And so the sound gives your mind something to pay attention to, and then you like are able to relax. And a drum is a great way too. It's just a constant beating. I've done shamanic journeys too, and it just is amazing where I go when that constant beat of the sound. And it's the same thing when it's the sound of the bowls when you're playing.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like you obviously being an entrepreneur too. So how has your like intuition guided you to make the decision to be the entrepreneur, and then particularly going through the wellness and healing industry?
Yeah, I think my intuition has guided me 100%. When I get in my mind, that's where I get in my own way. Literally making the move to Sedona, yes, I can tell you it was on my radar. My husband lived here and I lived in New Jersey, and he would travel back and forth, or I would travel when I could. But when COVID hit, we know that that was the great pause, a huge slowdown, a way to look and reflect at your life. And we were in New Jersey initially, and then we moved or we came to Sedona. And that is where my intuition completely guided me, because I didn't realize at the time that I was ready to make the move. I have young adult children. My one daughter was still in college. I'm rooted in New Jersey. My family is still there. And it's very difficult to pull your roots up and move across the country.
Right.
But when I got here, every single part of my body was like, it's time to go. But the thing that was holding me back and would have held me back is my own fear, because it kept showing up. All the, what if I don't find a place to live? What if I am not able to start my own business? You don't know anybody here. How are you going to make friends? You're going to be so far away from your family. And again, I just go back to thank you very much for my thoughts. They're there because they're protecting me. But everything unfolded so magically and beautifully in finding a place to live in a crazy time. It was 2020 when we were here, talking to my daughter and saying, what if I knew that it was time for me to go? And she said, if this is your journey and if it's time for you to go, I'll be on my journey. Funny enough, a few years later, she moved to Sedona and she lives less than 5 miles from me. But she had to go on her own path too, because hers took a route to Florida in the interim. But there's all kinds of things. But I literally ask Spirit to guide me. I ask for signs from the universe, and then I wait for them to show up. I consistently journal about what it is that I'm seeking. I have a vision board and what it is that I'd like to bring into my life. And I can tell you stories time and time again of how this is how I believe that the universe, God, spirit, whatever it is that you believe in, communicates with us through this subtle energy, through these signs that you ask for. And then it's us to pay attention. It's up to us to pay attention.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love that you say that, because I was always that person and that little girl that would say, did you see that? Or now it's like my awareness is so heightened that I could just be sitting at my desk here, and then all of a sudden I'm looking out the door and there's like a bunny, or there's like, an eagle, or, especially more nature. It's like that, and Snow White. I feel like I'm like on the Snow White. It's all like the animals.
Yeah, they're coming around to talk with you.
Yeah. But it's like, and this is a new awareness that I've noticed. I've always felt like I can telepathically communicate with animals, especially. But it's been really heightened lately. It's probably been the last couple months that I feel like I can telepathically talk to different animals, like obviously, like dogs and stuff. Like I can just feel, or cats, I always could kind of just feel if they were like, going to be aggressive, or if they were just kind, just trying to be, those dogs that would bark and they're really aggressive, but they're wagging their tails. And I'm like, really?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, really? It's scary. Yeah. But it's like that type of thing. But now it's been, actually too, I feel like crows have a really bad rap too, especially if you were to Google it. But there's these two crows that come to the water bath that's outside of my house, not the water bath, the bird bath. And I always felt like they had a message for me. And then it was actually last week was a little bit difficult week for me, and the week before. And it was like just that moment of when I seen them on my Ring doorbell camera, and they were there, and they were gone. And I was like, and then that download came in that, it was like change, and you're going to be okay. Yes. And then it was like that moment that I was like, I finally felt like a sense of peace wash over me, that like, okay, I'm going to be okay. Same thing with like the bunny kept showing up. But then this week, the bunny came on Monday and then hasn't been back. And then I'm like, okay, so it's obviously, and it's nice to kind of get those signs, but it's like some people look for them signs constantly. Yeah. And I always tell people, you don't always need that reassurance, but it's like that moment of that time that you need that reassurance, which is always comes at the right time of like, I trust myself so much. Like, I trust myself the most I ever have now. So it's like, okay, I don't need any more signs, or if I constantly see different numbers, it's usually a random thing that I had or thinking about, or if it's money, or if it's something emotional, especially with entrepreneurs, like that's literally the only two blocks that I feel like we have. It's something emotional, or it's a money block, right?
Yeah.
It's like something like your business. So usually I'll see like 777 or 888, or it's like I'll ask
all those beautiful angel numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'll ask a question. Lately, it's like I've been seeing 111. I know it's listen to your intuition. You already know the answer. So it's like Spirit's like, stop asking me these same questions. Yes. You already know. And it's like my spirit team can be very sassy, but I'm very sassy. So it's like, I know, it's like, I always say that spirit can be very sassy. And I mean, depending on whatever relationship I feel like you have with source, God, whoever your higher power is, I feel like it is funny. And I use humor because it's like, I'm not going to send you anything different than you already know. So it's been really interesting this like past couple weeks because I'm like, okay, I already know that. Okay. I just keep asking for reassurance and it's like, it's coming.
Yeah, I love it. And
Yeah.
every sound healing that I do, I have every guest of mine set an intention. So that's another way what we're talking about, right? We're looking for an intention, something that we're working on in our life, something that we're looking to let go of and bring in to our life. And so intention plus frequency equals healing. And that comes from one of my teachers, Dr. Jonathan Goldman. And yeah, so when you take the power of frequency and you put it with your intention, it literally amplifies it. And so you're setting that intention in your heart space, and then we release it and let it go so that you are communicating with the universe. And know that you have to take inspired action, right, in order to get your intention going. But you've now set a very powerful intention within and shared it with the universe, and now put action behind it. And I've seen many, many intentions come to fruition. So it's pretty crazy. And we just have to trust, right? These are the downloads. This is the information that's coming to us. We use the sacred space to create it. And that is something that I feel really connected to in my own sound healings and sharing them with others.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially when you said that inspired action, I just had a conversation with a couple of clients this past week, and even I had a conversation with myself too. That
Hmm.
I like, even my own mentor had said to me, she teaches a lot about, and I know this too, that it's like you have that intention, you know what you need to do. Now just do something, like do
Right.
some type of action. And then my mind will come in, like normal. Well, what if it doesn't work? Well, what if it does work? And
Yes.
like, what is
Yes.
going to, and she said this, and it was like, and maybe I should say this on the podcast. And she said her husband, which is not really like in the woo spiritual, and he said, you know, Allison, what would change if nobody signed up for your program? What would change if nobody signed up, like for you, for like your retreat? What would change? And she literally said nothing, like nothing would change. So he's like, so why not just do it? Because it's not going to change anything. Obviously, you want the result of that outcome to, you want to fill all, if we're talking about like program spots, 10 spots, but how about if
Sure.
you don't?
Yeah.
How about if you only did three? Well,
Yep.
that's what is supposed to happen. And I feel like that moment that she had shared, like taught us that and had shared that, I said to myself, wow, I now obviously teach my own clients that, but I also really, it helps me detach. Like because I feel like our manifestations come in slower when we're so attached to the outcome to try to control that result instead
Yeah.
of just doing what we need to do, making what we need to make, and then allowing it just to come in and then not like focus on something else. I've noticed since I've tried that, I feel like the detachment, I mean, I'm really good at detachment. Now that's a trauma response,
Yeah.
but I also, if I'm really good at it in any other time, why can't I be good at it for what I want? That
Yeah.
actual shift in my mindset has really changed a lot of things in my life, like this past year,
Yeah.
to like what I used to speak. And those programs that I noticed were still coming back up. And I was doing all of the work and the inner work. And then, but my reality was a little different. So it was like, then I was like, I have to, like, those programming, like, and I love the book, The Secret, because at
Oh,
first,
me too. Hmm.
I read that book actually in January of this year because I feel like I needed to reread it because I felt like these programs were coming back up. And when I was, when I first started my healing journey, I was like, this is all stupid. It's not going to work. I don't believe it. And then I started to visualize things. Like I just did it yesterday when I went to the grocery store and when I'm taking Lily to karate. There's never close parking. So I was like,
Oh, I do that too. I love it. Always.
yeah, I'm like, I'm
A
visualizing
parking spot.
the parking spot right in front of karate. Now it's something so little, but it's like I want to continue to show myself that this works. And just because it's not working for certain things doesn't necessarily mean that it's not working at all. Like it's like that all or none thinking, that our egos like to, or
Oh
maybe our
yeah.
team like to keep us in. And I did that. And I was like, of course there's going to be a spot. And, as soon we were going to park low, Lily was like, oh, mommy, we didn't get it. I was like, it's okay. And then as soon as we were going to pull on a parking spot and have to walk down, she was like, mommy, look, there's a parking spot. And like, I knew it. It was
Yeah.
like, it was like, so it's kind of like, it's good that she also sees it too, because she'll eventually have to go down her own path and her own journey. And hopefully she'll remember. My mom used to always do this visualization thing. I don't really know.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I do that too because parking here in Sedona can be really tough.
Yeah.
And if I'm going somewhere, I'm like, okay, my parking guides, I'm seeing a parking spot right in front. And I'm telling you, it works again and again. My husband jokes with me, can't you make that on a grander scale? And I'm like, I do. I
Right.
do.
Yeah.
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 And, like circling back to what you were saying, non-attachment, no expectations, right? Just put it out there and this or something better, right? This or
Right.
something better coming to us. And yeah, constantly working on manifesting those things and, having the ability to live here in Sedona and the heightened energies here. It's so beautiful and I love it. And I can feel the difference. And people are always like, do you notice? I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely notice. And so Sedona is a magical place like that to create and manifest what you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna say I hope to be back to visit Sedona.
Yes, come visit. Come have a sound healing. We'll
Yes.
co-create something. Yes.
Yeah. So I want you to talk about your retreats. So so how, your retreats, how did you start doing retreats? Was it a calling that you felt like you needed to start doing these retreats? Kind of tell us a little bit about your retreats. And if you have a retreat coming up, we would love to.
Yeah, I would love to share. Absolutely. So, I love hosting retreats. There are women's retreats with the theme of self-love, and I have a business partner. We've been doing it now since 2022, and it was seemed to be like a natural progression, Lauren, to do this. So as a practitioner here in Sedona, I would often be called to help co-facilitate with someone. Like, hey, can you come teach a yoga class? Can you come do a meditation, hold a sound healing, do a crystal class? I'm coming to Sedona. And so I saw that. And then there was an opportunity in one of the retreats where a woman said, come do a sound healing. And if you feel like staying for a little while, you're more than welcome to do that. Now, I myself have been going to retreats probably since like 2014. Started my healing journey years ago. I thought I was just going to a yoga retreat and yeah, I'm going to go do yoga and it's going to be great. And it was so much more. So I knew the value behind retreats. And I went by myself. So that was good. I wasn't, some people are like, I can't do that by myself. I'm like, yes, you can. And then when I started to see that Sedona is an ideal place to be a part of a retreat or host my own retreat, I started to see like, oh, this is something that is possible that I can add in as an entrepreneur. And I am part of a lot of groups online, and that's where I met my business partner, and she lives just up in Flagstaff. And the two of us jumped on a call, had never met each other before, 2022. So much similarities, alignments. We complement each other. She's a happiness life coach. And the two of us teamed up and we decided we were going to do our first retreat in Sedona. And now this September, the 11th to the 15th, 2024, it'll be our fourth retreat in Sedona. And we typically have about 13 women come. That's a nice number that we like to, good sacred number. And then in the last year, we've expanded to Costa Rica and Baja, Mexico. So always looking for different places to go. Typically, we like to have visited there ourselves to see before we take women. But I know that it's a calling for me, Lauren. Part of my healing journey started with going to a retreat and then also holding safe, sacred spaces for women to be vulnerable, to be seen without judgment is extremely important. I believe women should be helping each other, collaborating just as we're doing, pulling each other, helping each other along. And I think that the old paradigm of competition and kicking each other in the face with the high heels or whatever, no, I'm going to make my way to the top. No, sister, I'm going to take your hand and we're both going to make it to the top. And so that is a really big reason on why I do what I do, because we have to heal in order to show up as our authentic self. We have to know that we're capable of these things. And then we have to be able to have sisterhood to say, you know what, you've got it. And I'm here cheering you on. And so that is really a big reason why I started retreats. And then the whole theme of self-love is we must love ourselves before we can really expand and grow to give that love to others, to love ourselves, to take a risk on ourselves, to be able to call in the right partner, the right relationships, the right jobs, everything. So that is why our theme is self-love.
Yeah, I love that. And I always feel very like I felt this past year to do a retreat. And one of my dear friends, Wendy, had asked me, do you want to co-facilitate a
Beautiful.
retreat? And I
Yes.
did that. That was in April. And I was very transformative for myself. See, I thought I was going to go there and
Oh, 100%.
yeah. And I was like, I had one of the biggest transformations. I was actually still going through the shamanic journey. And I had one of the biggest transformations, like when I was facilitating it. And then she was doing some inner child, like breath work. And I was like, no, it's okay. I knew why I was resisting it because I knew what I needed to do. And she's like, no, 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 you're going to do this with us. And I was like, okay. And then, that was when she just must have known Lauren needs this kind of thing.
Yes.
And then that was like, so I also, I've always loved retreats. I used to go to them even like 10, 15 years ago. I had no idea why I was there, but I would just go to them. I felt better. It was like, that for that little bit, I probably wouldn't have done so much with the information, but then I would just go back to them and I would just go back to them again. And I mainly like to just be around women that were very like-minded, even if
Yeah.
I didn't have a business. Wasn't really doing much. I mean, I feel like I was in the medical field. I've always been in some type of service industry job. So I feel like at that time, maybe that's what I needed kind of thing. So yeah, I'm the same way. I just love seeing all of the retreats. And I know one day I will go to one of your
Oh,
retreats.
and I would love to have you. It would be amazing. It's so beautiful how they have organically expanded. And, I was thinking when you were talking earlier about how you have an intention and then you're like, okay, I'm releasing it, but I'm going to take inspired action. And I still remember to this day, the first time that my business partner, Lisa, and I met and we hosted it. Our first retreat was at a place here in Sedona, and we signed a contract, and it was so much fear coming in because literally we were on the hook for like a good chunk of money, thousands of dollars. And I'm like signing my name and I'm like, okay, I release it. And now I'm calling in the women, and we had 13 women in our first retreat, and it was just awesome. And I just remember thinking, right? I could get in my mind, fear could come in, and then that's the energy that's going to block anyone showing up coming to the retreat space. And so every time there's that little bit, but I am now in the space of done enough now. We've done 7, and trusting that this is my path and this is what we're supposed to be doing, and co-creating with source in that way. So it's awesome. And then when we did our retreat in Costa Rica this past January, that's when we took it for a full week. We do like typically 6 days, 5 nights. We do 4 days, 3 nights. That was 8 days, 7 nights. Each one is so amazing in and of itself. And we have women that stay in touch with each other and they become best friends, and then they travel outside of there and they come back to Sedona. And just to see the thread of what is created from that seed, it just really brings such gratitude. It brings like tears to my eyes, gratitude. Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know if you know, but Wendy J is the one that I did the retreat with.
Uh-huh.
And two of the people that were there, one was a podcast guest and one was just a random person that's seen my post in probably a
Yeah.
social community group that I posted about it. And I was like, wow. And these two women I talk to, I don't want to say daily, but we keep in contact still. And
Yes.
they're two really very close friends to me. And it's
Yep.
like just being able to like hold space for them. And just like you, I'm very good at holding safe, sacred space for people.
Yeah.
It's just been one of my superpowers. I always, even people that come around me, they just feel really safe. And I always notice that too when people would tell me their problems. And I'm like, why is everybody telling me their
Yeah.
problems?
Yeah. Like a random stranger and you're like, okay. Yeah.
And I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this? So then, like, of course, I just give them love and compassion. But before, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this information? Like, I don't even know what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do with this information. But it's just maybe they just needed, it was more of like, I'm just somebody safe to talk to, or maybe I'm just supposed to listen. So that's when I became this person that just likes to listen to people. So it's like, I just like to listen because I noticed just for myself, people don't listen because they're just too busy to like, sometimes it's that moment that I could be at the grocery store and somebody needs to tell me something. And it's like at the grocery
Yeah.
store, and somebody tells me their life story. And I'm like, trying to just give love and compassion because that's really all they need. Or maybe not say much and just listen, So I feel like that the world definitely needs more of that. And
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we hold a sister circle, and in that space, you can say whatever you want to say, and it's a space just for you to be heard. And when no cross talking, no like, oh yeah, Lauren, me too, and all of that. It's like, what does it feel like to just be heard?
right. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
I love
And more, we need this for our women. We need this for our women.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on today's episode with Cheryl on the Enlightened Misfits
Love
podcast.
it. Yes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share somebody that you feel that would gain knowledge from listening. Stay tuned for more captivating conversations in the future. Make sure you click in the description box all of her links and all of the information for the retreat that we were just talking about. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining us on another enlightening episode on the Enlightened Misfits podcast. If you are a current or inspiring to be fempreneur, suffering from the fear of being seen and or feel very triggered when you're building your business, reach out to me at The Mermaid Light about my Rich and Resilient Biz Baddies. This is a collective text message Voxer support group designed to help you heal your triggers and turn imposter syndrome into bad bitch energy. If you resonate with our conversations and insight, don't forget to subscribe, rate the show, and leave a review. Your feedback fuels our mission. Remember, your journey to unwavering certainty and purpose is ongoing. So please make sure you stay connected with us on social media. Keep manifesting greatness in your life. Until next time, this is Lauren from the Enlightened Misfits podcast. Stay enlightened, stay inspired, and keep manifesting your extraordinary path.